Greetings, everyone. Ecto Eric here. Welcome to Class 5 Collection. Today, I'm just starting to put away some Halloween stuff. But today is, a lot of people may know this, but today is the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald out in the Great Lakes. Now, I was born 72. She sank 75. So I personally don't have any recollection because I was still young. But my dad was a lifetime mariner. And I know that really bothered him a lot. Every time we lost the vessel, whether it was out here on the Atlantic, it's still it just shows you that your lives can end very quickly. Um, so I just figured I'd talk a little bit about that. Now I have no inside knowledge. I've been to the Great Lakes, but never been on any of their ships. And lake, especially the Great Lakes and the Atlantic Ocean, are two different bodies of water. Now, the Atlantic, yeah, it can get violent. Trust me, I've been in many, many storms, but from what I understand from the crew that I've talked to out there, is that you've got water coming from every which way, and there's something called uh, 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 like because you know it's a lake. So when the waves slam into one side of it, we have this happen in the harbor. The water bounces back, and all energy comes right back at you. So you have water coming from all different sides of you. So you're not just rolling, pitching. You're just getting. It's a totally. I'd rather be out in the ocean, to be honest with you. Yeah. So I just want to say that everyone knows that she was an ore carrier. She was 729 feet long. She was crewed by 29 men, and her captain was Ernest McSorley, who had been on the ocean for over 40 on the Great Lakes for over 40 years, so he wasn't new. But he was considered a heavy weather captain. I've served under some heavy weather captains, and I get it because boats do not make money tied to the dock. They got to be moving to make money. That's just you tie up a vessel. The vessel's at anchor idling. You're losing thousands of dollars. So I understand that. I've been in that position myself where, you know, would I intentionally put my ship and crew in danger? No, but sometimes uh, that can't be helped. Sometimes things can turn on you. Now, from October to December is the most dangerous time for anybody in the maritime industry. The weather can turn on you, and I am not kidding you, it will turn on you in a blink of an eye. I have literally been on the bridge, turn around, put something in the logbook, look at the radar. Now, back then, our radar was not on a TV screen, it was in this scope. So you had to turn your hat sideways, on your back, turn your hat backwards, and look into it. And by the time I get done doing that, I look up, we're in a fog bank or something's got what the. So yeah, it can sneak up on you. I was always taught you never take things for granted. Because the ocean can make you rich, it can also feed you to the fishes. So now I've lost friends, family out there. A lot of them never been recovered, and that's always hard because the insurance companies make the families wait 7 years before uh, they'll pay out. So that kind of, even though if they find a vessel, it doesn't matter. I had a friend of mine, Billy Hokinson. He was killed out there with his father. His boat was tied up. His dad was short-handed. His dad didn't want to, he didn't want his dad to go out alone. So he went with his dad just to make a couple extra bucks and help out his father. Well, they never came back. But what happened, we heard the distress call. We heard Hokey yelling for help. Right after that transmission, some idiot got on there and said, "Help, help, we're sinking, help us." Coast Guard deemed it as fake. No, the first part was not. That was actually him. He gave the boat was a Solima. He gave him a general direction. It was him. Coast Guard said, nope, nope. Well, they got in huge trouble. They got sued, and now because of what happened back then, Coast Guard has to take everything like it is legit, even if they think it's fake or not. Could they have saved them? Probably not, but that's not the point. You just don't say. So if someone sends a 911 call, and you're like, yeah, I don't think that's legit. That's the Coast Guard for you. So now, do I know what happened to the Fitzgerald? No, not at all. I don't know. And the sad part is, even the crew didn't know what happened to them. It happened so fast. There was no way for them to know. There just wasn't. It was catastrophic, and they never saw it coming. Now, I think when those three sisters rolled up on her stern, that did hit the Anderson before they hit them. She was already having a list. She was taking on water, and I really think she was taking on water from the bottom. I really think she grounded out. I think she hit bottom. She probably already had stress factors along the hull. Could she be taking water from the top? Yeah, because he said, Captain Shirley said, he was missing vents. Now vents are probably 3 feet or so still water going in. Now, the cargo hold does not have pumps. They have a sub pump after you clean everything out. It doesn't have pumps like you do. They had a couple of pumps. They had one pump for 7,000 gallons a minute, and the other one I think had 14,000 gallons a minute, and it wasn't making a dent. You're taking on some serious, serious water when your pumps can't even take it. So that's telling me that the water's not coming from the top. The water's coming from below, probably coming through the hatch on the bottom with the ore pellets up. And those freaking iron ore pellets, they look like little marbles. They absorb water. So you're taking on. So he's getting further and further and further deeper into the water. That means you have less time to recover from a roll. When you take water on your deck, think of it as when a dog gets wet. What do? They shake off the water. Boats do the same thing. We have scuppers alongside the deck. You get water on your deck, the biggest thing, you want to get the water off the deck as fast as you can. If that water stays up in there, when she goes to roll, she's going to stay there. And if something happens, something shifts, the cargo shifts, or you take another wave, boom. What happened to them is they didn't capsize. I think what happened was when those waves finally rolled up her back, pushed that bow down. That bow, they just thought it was a big wave, and what it's called, it's called down flooding. That means when that bow went underneath, and the bridge is right in the bow. When it went down, all those windows imploded at the same time. So everybody that was on the bridge got probably pushed down the gangway, and they said, I have no proof, I've only what I've heard, they found one crew member outside on the port side. He's next to the hull of the ship on the port side. As the port side door is dogged open, and dogged open means it's locked open. The storm didn't do it. Now, I've been asked many times, well, why would you open up a door in that storm? Well, the wind was coming from her starboard side, so the port side was in the lee. You got the windward side and the leeward side. So I've done it myself too. It gives you and your crew false hope, and it really does. You leave the door open saying, okay, that's the way out. Because even if you can get out, you're not going to survive. That water's ice cold. It's too rough, but it just gives you it's like when you go on an airplane and they tell you, hey, your seat is going to double as a flotation device. Tell me, when has it ever happened? Has anybody ever survived that? Just say it. Just think of it that way. So yes, that's why. Have I done it? Yes, I have. I'm pretty sure that's why they did it too. Now, with the like I said, I don't think the crew even realized what was happening to them. Now, I really feel bad for the crew in the engine room. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea. All of a sudden, everything's going to hell. They probably hear this massive. Now, hearing steel tear is not something you want to hear. I've heard it on vessels, and it is horrible. You can't even describe it, and you don't want to hear it. So they hear that noise. All of a sudden, that whole stern flips. Now you're probably in the dark. Everything's getting thrown around. Now everything that generators, engines, you name it, toolboxes are going to get thrown on top of you. So everything that was bolted, that was sitting on the deck is now inverted and all that. Now gravity's going to take everything. So there is nothing left of that stern. Everything went right through those decks. So the office's mess, the galley, everything is crushed by all the weight of the machinery falling down. And those guys were crushed by all that machinery. They probably died by that way instead of drowning, but who knows? But it was still horrible. I'd rather go on the bridge because of the force of that water coming in, you're probably a done deal. But do I know what happened to them? No. And like I said, they don't even know. Now, what the stupid thing is that the Coast Guard had made deals with them. Had said, well, you can run summer load lines in the wintertime. Now, what that means is the more weight you put on a ship, the further down she's going to go in the water. So in the wintertime, your draft is supposed to be 3 feet less in the wintertime than it is in the summertime. So this way, if there's storms and stuff, you're going to clear anything. They said, no, don't worry about it, because money. 2 days after they lost to Fitzgerald, Coast Guard rescinded that, told everybody you are to go to winter low lines as of, I don't know if it was October 1st or November 1st. That's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's you get caught doing it, you're going to get in trouble. Then, for years, they said that the Fitzgerald laid in Canadian waters. Well, recently, with modern technology, that's not true. The stern is in Canadian waters and the bow is in American waters. Now, she is the only vessel you can't dive on. You can't even go above where she is. There's a 600-meter perimeter. If you so much as take your boat over that thing, it's going to alert people. Or alert the authorities of what you're doing. And that's a heavy fine. Why? There's thousands of wrecks, hundreds of wrecks that you can dive on and see bodies. Literally, you can see bodies. Because there's no fish down there, and the water's cold. So what they look like is a white mass, but you can still see them. I think it comes down to who's going to get in trouble. Well, the company that owned the ship is out of business, but the Coast Guard's still around because she was deemed seaworthy less than a month before of the incident. And anybody that worked on it will tell you that she was a different design. She only had 2 bulkheads. Most ships have 3 or 4. She had one bulkhead, watertight compartment in the bow, one watertight compartment in the stern. Everything else was what they call a screen bulkhead. It was nothing for fast loading and unloading because you got to make the money. So they said in rough weather for 17 years, you're walking down the passageways. There was a clear shot from the stern to the bow on both sides, port and starboard, and there's lights every 20 feet. They said you're walking down in heavy seas, all of a sudden the bow will turn this way and you don't see nothing. The lights are gone. They didn't go out. It's because the ship is snaking. They said she was a horrible ship to drive because if the bow is going one way, the stern's trying to go the other. I can't even imagine. I've had rough boats to drive. I can't even imagine trying to drive that thing. And she had charts from 1919. This is 1975. That did not display the shoals where she probably went over. I can't prove that they did, but if you look at her course, she's sitting on, I think, a course of 121. And if you backtrack all the way back, brings her right to those shoals. Coast Guard say, oh, no, she's laying on course 141. Nope. Her bow, as of right now, is on course 121. And if you backtrack, it goes right to those shoals that extend like a mile and a half out. So, because there's liability. And each family member from the company got $600 for their loss. Even 1975, I mean, that's not going to replace a loved one. That's just not. It's just not. So there's so much bull, and the whole middle section's gone. It's totally obliterated. You can't find it. It's gone. Got the bow and stern. Now, did she break up on the surface? I don't think so because they're laying within 300 feet of each other. Now, the Daniel J. Morrell, who sank several years before her, or even a decade more, she broke on the surface. And the one survivor, Dennis Hale, look him up. Great interviews with that guy. Said he was on the deck right behind the bridge on the lifeboat, and he watched the stern steam away from the bow under its own power. The bow's here, stern's here. It steamed for 12 miles. They found her stern like a year later, 12 miles away. So that's not what happened to the Fitzgerald. I think what happened is she went down, she dove down, the back snapped because it's 500 feet of water. She's 729 feet, and she capsized, and that was it. So, and then a lot of people are like, well, you don't want to disturb the remains. I agree. But you know what I would really like? I want to see the logbook. The logbook can be probably be brought back up. They got the logbook from the Morel. They were able to get it in the bridge. The bodies are still there. They didn't bother the bodies, but they got the logbook because I want to know who was in charge of the ship in the afternoon at 2:00. Was it McSorley? I don't think so. I really think it was the first officer. Oh, geez, I can't think of the guy's name. McCarthy, John McCarthy. I think he was in charge. Now, at one time, he was a captain. He ran a ship aground. Instead of them firing him, they demoted him. You could never go past first officer, first mate, whatever you want to call it. So, was he in charge? Did he make that same mistake again? I don't know. I have no idea. But with the logbook, we know, and then we would know what the engineers knew. Because they would call the bridge and say, hey, our pumps are doing this, doing that. There's always somebody keeping the logbook. I know I always did. So that's what I really want. And would it help? Yes, it would. It would probably give us some answers at least. That's how I look at it. My thing is, after a tragedy, you want to make sure this doesn't happen again. And all this, you don't want to disturb the... Yes, I understand that. I totally get that. I don't want to disturb anybody's remains either, but we're not talking about that. We're not going to... You can't get into the staterooms anyways. This way, if you look at the portholes on the bow, those are where the staterooms are. You can't see nothing because there's the inner hatch that you can clamp down. In rough weather, you do that. You take your steel plates on your portholes and lock them down. So they're a mausoleum. You're not going to be able to get in there, and you shouldn't want to anyways, just out of respect. But there's nothing in there that you need. I want to go on the bridge, get the freaking logbook, and that's it. Because that will answer for me some questions at least. But it's just heartbreaking, and I can't imagine, telling the family, yeah, you're only going to get $600. Jeez, what the? Seriously? Like, that's it? But you can't prove liability. And that's the problem. No one's going to go against the Coast Guard. So, and the company's like, well, we didn't tell them to go. But if you look now, if they have all these trackers now, which I think is pretty wild, you can see what every vessel's doing. You see if they're anchored, moving, where they're going, speed. When we had a storm not too long ago out there, you could see all the ships. They're not, oh no, they're anchored up. They're behind islands trying to find the lee. And that's one thing that we didn't have in the Atlantic. We don't have a lee. We're out. We have nowhere to go. So if we're making ice out on, say, George's Banks, we are not going to try to run home. If we run home, we're going to die. That means that storm was a lot worse out there at home than it is here. And I have to have all crew out on decks with bats, sledgehammers, crowbars to bust the ice. Because the ice, now that could have been thing with Fitzgerald too. She could have been icing up, and that probably didn't help her buoyancy at all, because that would hurt my buoyancy. If I started taking on ice, you got to get it off as fast as you can. And if you got bad enough storm and your bow hits the water and the spray comes up, as soon as it comes up, it's not spray, it's ice, and that's that sucks. But it's either you break it or, you're not going to make it. When you're over 400 miles from land, no one's going to help you. There's no way. Even if you get off the ship, It's just not. So, but yeah. So like I said, there's a lot of things that we're never gonna know. Like I said, I don't know what happened to it. Nobody does, not even the crew that was in that storm. I think it hit them so fast, so hard that. And I had the same thing on the boats I was on. I always thought they're gonna get me home. You know, you always do. You always, she can do it. She can take it. It's gonna be a rough ride, but you know what? Luckily, it did happen for me. Luckily, I had a good crew. Now, here's the thing. Have I been scared? Yes. Fuck yes. Hell yes. There's a difference between the situation. There's not a situation, but there's a difference between being scared and panic. If you panic, you're dead. You're not gonna make it. And that is the truth. I was always taught, work before worry. That means if you know there's bad weather coming, you do everything you can to make that boat as safe as you can. You get everything dogged down, make sure all the hatches are secure, make sure, all that stuff is in place. Make sure there's nothing on the deck that can slide, cause any problems. And all unnecessary crew is to stay in their staterooms. Engineering crew has to report, and you keep who you need on the bridge. So stuff like that. So that's how I was taught. Work before worry. But like I said, have I been scared? Yes, of course. I'm not that tough a guy. Trust me. But panic, yeah, panic will do you in. So yeah, I just figured out this in 50 years today. I just figured I'd shoot that out there. Just do my little rock throwing. And it's just like I said, my family's we've been in the maritime business since before the whaling days. So, and I got out of it, and I stepped down early '90s, and then I kept up with my dad for a little bit. I help him out here and there and stuff like that. But he kept doing it to the day he died. So I'm glad I did it, but I wanted a different life. I wanted to be home. I wanted because he was not home a lot, and then I was at a point where I wasn't home a lot, and I found that I like girls, so I wanted a life. I wanted it. It's hard to have a girlfriend if you're gone for a month at a time. A lot of my guys, my crew, they would piss through money like you wouldn't believe. I wasn't bad. Yeah, I probably did some of it, but they'd go out buy, and this is 80s, 90s. They'd go out buy brand new freaking car, beautiful, right out of the showroom. You leave it at the dock for fucking seagulls to piss over it and shit over it, or they let their girlfriend borrow it to go pick up her boyfriend or smack it around a pole. So I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah. So just figured I would toss that out there. Well, I truly can't talk and do things at the same time. I put Peter inside the race stance box. Yeah, so multitasking, not my best. But that's why I figured I'd just blab. I've never done one of these before. Just do something and just shoot the crap. But I felt it was necessary to say that because I see so many missed things. Oh, the ship vanished. The ship didn't vanish. It sank. The crew of the Anderson, Captain Bernie Cooper, they had visual on him. They had him on radar. Snow squall pulled in about 7:10 at night. That lasted a few minutes. His first mate said, "Can't find her on radar." Squall cleared, no visual. He called the Coast Guard. They kind of dismissed it. He's laying up somewhere. He was 10 miles in front of me. He's gone. I hope he didn't take a nosedive. Exactly what he said. You can listen to recordings. And they brushed him off. The Coast Guard, to this day, is still notorious for doing that. They're kind of like, yeah, don't worry about it. Boy. Ugh. Anywho, I said I've had many interactions with them over the years, and I did work kind of for them because I wasn't such a nice young man, so I had to do some I wouldn't say charity work, but some kind of like work detail, kind of say, to not get in trouble. So I worked with a Coast Guard cutter that was in our area called the Campbell, and that was a great experience. They're a really good crew, and she was the first co-ed ship, so that was really interesting. And they all got along, and I got to see how they did things, and yeah, it was pretty cool. And I actually got in trouble because I was with the first officer, and he had taken me to the CIC, which is Combat Information Center, and I wasn't supposed to be in there, so I got pulled into the old man's office, the captain's office, with him, and we both got chewed out. I mean, it's a Coast Guard cutter. Trust me, there's no heat-sinking missiles or anything, but still, there's stuff in there that I probably shouldn't have seen. But so yeah, so that was interesting. But do I miss that life? Yes, of course I do. But I wouldn't give it up for what I have now. I mean, I'm home. I got a wonderful wife and kid. I got good friends that I wouldn't have if I was out there. And if I didn't have them, I would miss out on so much. So, but I'm glad I did it. And I'm glad I was young enough to do it because, my dad's body, by the time he was late 50s, early 60s, his knees were shot. Because that's the first thing that goes on anybody that works on is that your knees are just blown out. It's tough because you're on a moving platform. You go to work, you're standing still. Just Oz does this, and you do a freaking pitch roll, and I've fallen on my ass more times than I can count. So I got one more box, and what I do with it? It's tough to get old. Give me a minute, I'll try to find it. So I just want to wrap up by saying that we'll truly never know what happened. I know I've said that before. I really believe that the crew didn't know what the hell was going on, especially the guys in the stern, in the engine room. You have no idea what's going up on the bridge. You don't. I can't even imagine the hell all of them went through. You're in your cabin because you're told to stay there. Can't imagine. At least when I was on the bridge, something was going to happen. I could see it coming. Not that it would make me feel any better, but I could see it. I can't imagine being totally I just can't. Now, that's the thing. Rowing a boat is not like rowing your car. Okay, when you row a boat, whether it's a snap roll, when you do like 50-degree, and I've done that, I've done it shop, everything goes flying. Everything. People, equipment, oven, stove, everything from the cabinets, it just everything just comes flying. People and equipment. It's not like a car where your glove box blows open and your phone hits you in the face. It's totally not. Like cargo gets all screwed up. It's bad. It's bad. But I will say this: I was safer out there than I am on land. On land, everybody out there on land, you guys face more danger in 10 minutes than I did in a year out there. And I mean that. Seriously. We were safer out there. And the most dangerous thing about being a mariner or being a fisherman or whatever is getting on and off the boat. So, more people get hurt and killed getting on and off the boat than out there. Sounds stupid, but seriously, you are safer out there than walking down the street. And I worked from people from Yale and from jail. Didn't matter what color their skin was, what education level. The smartest people I knew didn't go past the 10th grade. And I mean that. And when we used to have the the government agencies come in with, with all their, their diplomas and stuff. Were the dumbest people I ever freaking met in my life. They didn't even know how a boat worked, and you're telling me how it's going to work. Okay. And you're educated. I used to tell them, get your money back. It's not working. Anyway, all right. So I just want to, you guys, keep those 29 men in thoughts. I mean, it's just, they had lives, they had kids, they had, people that loved them, that still love them. And like I said, I've lost people. I had uh, an ancestor of mine who was captain of the Mary Celeste, Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs. All hands lost. They found the ship, but not them. I get asked that, what happened? I don't know. I have no idea. Why did they abandon the ship? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. The ship was seaworthy. I couldn't tell you. You know, and I hear all these. It was a mutiny and it was murder and it was, this. Can't say that they're wrong, but I've heard things from that to aliens and to Bermuda Triangle crap. I don't know why they abandoned ship. I have no idea why. I think when they did, they didn't tie the life raft to the ship, and the ship just took off without them. Ship doesn't need you. Ship can keep, especially a sailing ship. They'll just keep going. So yeah, so just got our own family history that I constantly get asked. I don't know. Oh, write a book. I can't write a book. I don't know what happened. It wouldn't be a very good book. There's thousands of people already done it. I'm not interested in that. I'm not. Uh, and the other question I used to get uh, a lot was, after something happens to like friends and family, did that ever stop you from wanting to go out? No. No, because so someone that you loved or knew got killed in a car wreck, does that stop you from driving? No, it might make you a little more cautious, but you're not going to stop. I mean, that's me. That's just coming from me, but no, I'd never. No, some people, I can totally agree. I understand. I had quite a few people that survived sinking boats, and they said, I'm done. Don't blame you. Don't blame you. I'm lucky. I've never lost one of mine. I was on a boat that was right at the dock, right at the marina that we owned and ran, and bad weather set in. I jumped on it because the guy he was a landlubber, didn't know what he was doing. I tried getting the pumps going. Before I knew it, I was surrounded by water. I'm in my, oh man, get your, can't repeat what he said. And I cleared that engine room, get out of it, and just as I got right into the floop, right down, I'm like, oh damn. And I got up right in the back of the head from my own man. What the hell's the matter with you? What are you doing? Just trying to help. Let's do that. I got many whacks to the back of the head. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I've taken up way too much of your time. Thank you for putting up with me. Yeah, I just appreciate every single one of you. I hope you're safe wherever you are. Take care. Keep collecting. Peace.